Hello, hello. This is our weekly live brains. I said brainstorm, but that's broadcast. We live stream to our social media profiles. Please find me and Smarty at LinkedIn. That's the best place to join us just because it's easier. I always add those to my calendar and post about this event, so it's easier to join that way. But we also broadcast to my YouTube over at SEO Smarty, to our Facebook page Smarty Marketing, and to my Twitter or X, which is SEO Smarty. Feel free to follow me everywhere. I would love to keep engaging with you and answering your questions. I'm Ann Smarty. I have been in SEO for more than 20 years at that point. I've seen it all. And now for almost a year now, I've been reporting here on our live broadcast about everything that's going on in the search industry, and that's a lot. I think in the history of SEO, this has been the fastest several months. I think it's more than a year at this point, of how fast it has been developing, and it is all thanks to AI, generative AI for sure, because we have more discovery channels these days. People use ChatGPT to discover products and brands, and AI is also heavily integrated in Google through AI overviews. Those are two different AI technologies, but still those are AI-driven answers that we are now dealing with, and we need to know how to navigate all these changes and shifts in how people search, discover, find solutions to their problems, how to better optimize for all of that. We keep an eye on all of that and report here for you not to have to do that as well. Our broadcasts are almost always very actionable. I don't have all the answers. I don't know all the tactics, but because of my experience in SEO and because I'm very heavily involved in providing those solutions to our clients as well, I do know something that can be done almost about any SEO trend that is happening right now. The only thing that I really don't have answers is helpful content, and that is something relevant to what we're going to talk about today. But still, even then, I have some case studies to share with you to help you out a little bit in that way too. Today with me and always April, our social media director. She's also our outreach manager, professional expert, and also our designer. So a lot of things she's doing, but not SEO. So she brings a little bit of that fresh perspective because I'm very heavily into the topic. So I may say things that are not really easy to understand to people who are not as much into SEO, and those are the majority of people, of course, on this planet. So thank you, April, for being here and helping me out, and also talking to our listeners or people who are watching us. Thank you. Please ask your questions on any social media profile that you're watching us from. We love questions. They inspire us to move for further topics and let us know how to better help you. So please ask your questions and we will make sure to answer them either through this video or afterwards from social media profiles. One more thing to say before we move to the topic of the day is that I do have a newsletter over at ansmarty.com. Please subscribe. I announce weekly topics every week. link there, so you will have more resources and more context for these conversations, and maybe this way you will get a lot more from this quick broadcast live meetings with us, as well as examples, tools, resources, screenshots. Everything is in that newsletter, and it's a very good way to know what's going on and how to go about that. And smarty.com, please subscribe and keep me posted on your feedback. So before we go further, there are a lot of news studies, a lot of news at this point going on in our industry. I will not list them all. There was a Google conference yesterday that was all about innovations in search, AI mode. Check it out. I'm sure Search Engine Roundtable covered most important things. Barry was at that conference, so he's covering that very well. I will not mention those yet because, again, I don't have answers there yet. Something is changing. Google is changing, getting more personalized, more AI driven, but it's all in line with what we are talking here every week. So we will definitely be helpful in figuring that out. I would like to read a tweet that is so much about what is happening in the digital marketing world these days that it inspires me to to share it with you. That was from Joe Youngblood. Please follow him on Twitter. He always shares great insights, and he has a lot of humor with all of that. So it is very enlightening to read him. So this is what is going in the publishing industry these days. So let's say a news company creates a video or covers a news event. So what's happening after that? Google, oh, look at this thing. I definitely found it on my own, and now I can repurpose it in the AI overview, or maybe even rank content syndicators that are not really the source of that news. Now, ChatGPT, here is some news about your local area I stole for you. It happened 2 years ago, but I just now found it. Reddit, instead of linking to the video, I'm just going to steal the video and upload it to your, so you don't see the ads on the site. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Here's the news video, but with some random guy staring at you quietly, added to the part of that for some reason. And other news websites, here's the exact same news, that is syndication, exact same news, but with slightly more sensational title and an option from our journalist will leave, and that makes it sound like a fact. This is the reality of how it works these days. If you publish something, be prepared that you will not be cited as the source. You will not be ranking for that for that news, even in the news section. Let's not even talk about organic search. That it will, if you have a good video, it could be repurposed as reels, as shorts, as TikTok videos, and you will never be referenced. This is something that has been happening for a while, and it very much aligns to what I'm going to talk about this today. Is becoming a brand. Everything that is happening in digital marketing, whether it's fair or not, you cannot really stop that. And I would suggest not trying to spend your resources on trying to go against the current, block ChatGPT, block AI overviews if it's not even easy, because without blocking Google accessing your website or hurting your rankings. So instead of trying to prevent that all unfairness, I understand I'm in the same boat as you, and we are helping clients in different industries, different business models for that. But instead of trying to go against the current, the best investment of your time and money at this point is to become a brand. And I know that it is very, very intimidating for smaller businesses, for small publishers, when they hear things like you have to become a brand. They think Apple, Microsoft, those types of brands. No, this is not what I'm going to talk about today. This is different, and it is doable. for everyone. And I will share a small case study from my own experience that actually worked for me and how I made it work. So first of all, everyone who has been losing traffic over the past 2 or 3 years, you are not alone. Of course, there are most unfortunate publishers who were hit by helpful content update that I mentioned before. We are constantly talking about that kind of update on Twitter, and trust me, no one has answers to that kind of update, unless again you become a brand, and you should have done that before being hit by helpful content, because so far there is no real recovery story to share with you from that update. So ever since helpful content update, there is a certain trend going on. There are new services that help you again, there was no help, there was no recovery from that update, help you recover. And that most of those services focus on EEAT optimization. You hear them all the time. Anyone who's losing traffic thinks that EEAT optimization could help them. That's what many SEO agencies, I would not say they're very ethical SEO agencies, that promise you to get your traffic back by optimizing you for EEAT signals. What is EEAT? That is a term that was introduced to us by Google, but it is not description in any kind of how their algorithm works. That's the document that they give their human quality raters. There are people working for Google, either through third party or directly for Google, that search and rank websites based on certain criteria. They kind of double check that the algorithm is doing a fine job giving answers, being helpful to users. So they're not actually doing any way impacting the search results. They just pass that feedback to Google engineers for them to see where their algorithm is doing a good job and where their algorithm needs some fixes to do a better job. So EEAT, the first thing that you need to know, has nothing to do with Google's algorithm. That's how it is explained to people, what the algorithm is trying to do. So there are no actual, we don't know how algorithm is interpreting those EEAT signals. So those stand for experience, expertise, trust, and authoritativeness. Those are all great signals as if you have them and if you showcase them on your site, if you can talk about your experience with the topic, if you can talk about your expertise or why you should be trusted, if you have incoming signals like backlinks from very authoritative websites. Those are all great things to build and showcase on your website. But EEAT's optimization services usually try to fake those signals, because that's our industry. Most experts in our industry, that's what they do. They try to make it seem like you have all that experience and expertise and all of that, instead of build that. Of course, it's easier to kind of change your website the way to add some authorship, whether that author exists or not, no one knows, but add some authorship, make up a bio, make up a profile picture, even set up social media profiles for that author. And here you have an impression that that's a real person writing for that website. And you think that those quality raters would rate that website better just because there is an authorship. I'm not saying that it's isolated case. Those services are very widespread, and the proof to that is that the new guidelines to those quality raters include fake EEAT signals. They teach those raters to distinguish real authority, trust, and expertise and experience from fake one. And that is always a signal. If Google is paying attention to some tactic, it's always a signal. It is widespread and popular enough for Google to write that down and pay attention to it. So that's a very common service that you will come across. They may call it something else, usually because EEAT is such a trending term at this point that usually that's what these services are called, EEAT optimization. Do not ever invest in those. Always make an informed decision when a company, an SEO company, is promising you to optimize your site for EEAT. It's always how you're going to do that, what it should cost, and how much time it will take, because the real EEAT optimization is about figuring out what is existing in the company at this point and how to better showcase that, not faking it for sure. And this, the most effective way to actually build those EEAT concepts for your brand is to actually create them, start building them. It takes a lot of time to become a good, established, reputable author that creates content for your site, and then it's a signal, but it's the real thing. So instead of trying to pay for those services, another red flag anytime you talk to an SEO company is when they promise you to recover you from helpful content update. Again, it's there are no confirmed case studies that would show us the actual recovery from that update. If those happen, it's probably not because someone changed the website. It's because Google changed the algorithm and removed that broken part of their algorithm that actually buried a lot of very legit and very good publishers from search results. I've seen a lot of publishers that are great and they have everything right and they're doing everything right for their editorial process, and they have a lot of great writers, and they were still hit by helpful content update. And when I look at other people who other websites that are now ranking instead of that publisher, I'm not seeing better content, better usability, fewer ads, anything that we are taught to pay attention to through those helpful content updates. It may not work. So anytime we'll see recoveries from helpful content update, it's probably not because they invested in optimization or recovery. It's because Google changed the way they treat helpful content. By the way, last week we were talking about helpful content and making your content more helpful, so check it out. I think it's helpful. It's helpful. Excuse me, excuse for using all that word again and again. So instead of investing into those recoveries, and they can cost a lot. I just saw a tweet yesterday on X, I don't know how it's called at this point, X update, yesterday from a very good and legit publisher who invested $200,000 throughout 2 years trying to recover from that update, and he's still nowhere. So it can be very expensive to invest in those EEAT optimization services. Instead, put your money somewhere else, and that is differentiating yourself as a brand. You don't have to be a huge brand to be unique and memorable, but you need to look at your website and try to distinguish what can be unique about what you're writing about or what you are selling, or how you curate those products that you feature on your website, which exactly problems they are solving, and why you're more unique than your competitors. It can be done. even for smallest publishers. And I have a little story here, which of course it's not like universal, but 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I started a little blog. I've never shared it from my Aunt Smartest channel because it's a separate persona. I started a very little blog just sharing my travel adventures. And of course, it's like 1 millionth blog out there that is doing that. There are so many people who travel and have blogs and Instagrams and TikToks that share those adventures. So when I was starting that little blog, I did want it to be at least a little bit unique. And I started from my experience. So first you travel with kids, and then you don't have to travel far to have fun. So targeting people who want to travel, but they think that they will wait until kids are grown up, or when they have money to travel in some fun places that everyone hears about. So instead of trying to target everyone, I'm had that audience in mind. Those people who are discouraged from traveling for those two reasons, because they have little kids and they don't have money to travel too far away. So I was sharing my local adventures, waterfalls that I went to. If I go to a national park, I just don't share like 3 days in that national park. No, I share exactly little hidden gem in that national park that you can do with kids. It's fun, it's unique, you will never see that anywhere else, and it's easy to visit and enjoy it. Until this day, I stopped blogging there. I maybe had like, I don't know, 15 articles there. Of course, I did some link building. Nothing works without links still, just so you know. So I reached out to local places and told them that, hey, I featured you here and I discovered this. Why don't you cover that on your blog or in your directory or whatever? And I got a few links like that, very legit, very good links, never paid a penny for any of them. But that little blog that I stopped maintaining like maybe 2 years ago because life got too complicated is still ranking. It is ranking in Google very well and is driving traffic. And I didn't do any ads. I didn't even have time to set up the ads, but I did some Amazon affiliate links there just because anytime you go where, of course, you need to have some gear, and I tried lots of it on Amazon, and I was able to share from my own experience which worked better and why. That's all I did. And of course, if I kept going, I'm sure the blog would grow much more, but I just didn't have time for that. But the uniqueness of that site really worked. People do come back when they want to go somewhere, especially if they visited it once. They do share bookmarks. So the way that it is not just focusing on keywords. Of course, some of those things would not even trigger any keywords in SEMrush or whatever. But not focusing on that, on the SEO data, but just writing about what you experienced, what you were excited about, and trying to help to share that with people who may be looking for something to do over the weekend and they are local or they are not too far away. That worked. So any even smallest business can always sit down and find what is unique, how you uniquely solve some problems. Maybe that's repackaging your products into something that solves the problems from start to finish, so people do not have to shop for every little tool there. Maybe that's some unique products that no one else has and why they're unique. Maybe that's unique audience that you are targeting and you are part of that audience. That's very important. You have to have experienced those problems and you know exactly how to solve that. This is not going to get old. Whatever happens with the search industry, people will be looking for those specific, very niche things to solve their problems. And exactly like if you have a very specific problem and you ask it in ChatGPT, guess what? You will get a very generic answer because ChatGPT is ChatGPT. It generalizes our common knowledge. Yes, it has a lot of knowledge, but it generalizes everything. It doesn't, because actually ChatGPT did not experience your problem. So you will go to search results or Reddit to find people with exactly that problem and exactly solution that you were looking for. So that strategy of becoming different, even a little bit different, but if you know what you are doing and why you are doing, it shouldn't be hard. So instead of investing in those EEAT optimization services that have no proof of success, no one ever started ranking better just because they put an about page on their site. Yes, it's helpful if you have a detailed about page and you talk to people of why and when you are doing something. It builds trust, it builds other signals, I'm sure, return visits, people remember you better, but it's not a direct signal. EEAT, especially if it's faked, if it's manipulated, people try to make you look like you have an expertise in something while you do not. That is not going to directly influence anything. If you do right, if you do that right, yes, it can send some signals indirectly, so people will trust you more, will hang out on your site more, and that is already a signal. But just by faking it, you're wasting your money, and now we know Google is looking out for that as well. I talked incredibly a lot this time. I'm sure April has some questions. We have like 4 minutes for those. Please let us know if you have any too, but I hope this little broadcast will inspire someone to do things right, and that will definitely make a whole difference for your business. Trust me.
So, like, what are your tips for people trying to define their niche?
Yes. First of all, of course, you already know the answer. If you have a business, most people, especially if it's a small business, maybe bigger businesses have lost that somewhere in their success story. But if you're a small business, you may already know the answer. You started a business for some reason. Maybe you had experience in that topic, unique experience. Every problem is unique and every experience is unique. So coming out from that angle is always a good idea, because that's how you know how to uniquely help people. I don't know any business owner who just was sitting somewhere and then decided, hey, I start this business. Usually something led to that decision. Maybe it was 5-10 years ago, but that's where the answer lies. You always have unique way to solve something, and that's what makes you unique. I would definitely start there and try to understand. Maybe you help things faster, maybe your solution is faster, maybe it's more maybe the target audience is like I was starting that little blog. Maybe you have an idea of who exactly you are serving, so change your site to address that target audience, that unique solution. Feature things on your homepage that is targeted to that audience or to that unique solution to that problem. It's you do not have tools to figure that out. You need to sit down, maybe yourself, maybe with your team, maybe with your partners. You need to sit down and think about that. For example, for Smarty Marketing, the unique thing that we are providing, and that's from the very beginning, was no templates. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I know how those templated reports are useless, how businesses are still even more lost. Business owners are even more lost looking at that report than they were before that, when they had nothing and didn't know anything about SEO. So our solution was just like on this little broadcast, our social network, we actually help people and help them understand. And every problem, every SEO problem is unique. So we don't have templates. We don't have 20-page reports. We look at every businesses, and whether that's SEO or something else, we help them in that way. So every business has some idea of that unique angle that is going to be helpful. And the better job you are doing showcasing that on your website, the better EEAT optimization it is. It's the only EEAT optimization. If you have to name things, that should be EEAT optimization. You show why you are doing what you're doing and why you should be remembered by that particular audience. So I hope it wasn't like, usually I provide some tools and usually I mention how to do stuff using actual like reports or analytics or search console. Today was an important topic that many businesses are struggling with because they are overwhelmed with those. They hear EEAT and it is important. And I've talked to those business and business owners and bloggers a lot, especially through helpful content updates. Hell, when everyone was freaking out and everyone was like, EEAT will help, EEAT will help. And I was talking to lots of people who just heard the buzzword and then they trust an SEO agency because that's what they heard previously. EEAT, okay, so let's do that. And I think we should talk about that a lot to try and change that mindset. Do not invest in something that is not going to work or that has no proof of success. Be sure to invest in the right things. They may not work as fast. Those do not work at all. So it is better to invest in something that is going to work at least within few months instead of trying to take a shortcut that costs money and provides zero results. So with that, again, I think I was talking about that's something I'm really passionate about because it's 90% of business owners do not understand this and they invest in something that is a waste of money. With that, please subscribe and smarty.com. We will continue bringing up some important misunderstandings in the SEO industry that those are growing. Those are even becoming worse because everything is changing. And those buzzwords, GOO, AIOO, new words for SEO, all those buzzwords are everywhere and businesses are getting increasingly lost in the sea of these misconceptions. We will try and do our best to bring you some sanity and also suggest what you should do instead. Thank you so much, and smarty.com, and see you next week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. EST.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.